Because when you think of your purpose, gentlemen, you think of beyond yourself. It is what, Mark, you are trying to make in this world, in your world. Start with your immediate world, and then it gets a broader world. That's leadership. Leadership is not about me. It's about what I can give to you, to him. That's the responsibility of leaders.
Welcome, Kicking Ass and Taking Name, the Business Owners Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Marlon Griffith, Esquire. Join us on this podcast journey as we help you break free from the grind and get your business to work for you. We will delve into impactful conversation with business owners, corporate leaders, professional service providers, and industry innovators that will provide you with insights and actionable strategies that will transform your entrepreneurial path, boost your success, and put you in control of your business journey so you can kick ass and take names.
Well, we are excited to have our speaker facilitator today. Today we have Mr. Marlon. He has been a board member since the inception of the 13th Man. He is a prominent, well-known, renowned legal authority in his space and has volunteered his time, his talent, and his treasure to the organization from the very beginning. He's presented at the 13th Man Leadership Academy for the past 3 or 4 years. And so he's going to share some insight and wisdom. So I want y'all to take notes. I want you to lock in, and I want y'all to ask questions. Y'all are leaders and you got this. Give a round welcome to Mr. Marlon.
Thank you. I will tell you, the 3 young men who got up and spoke in front of one of the room, fantastic. I gave my first speech when I was 12 years old to my graduating class and the parents at graduation from my elementary school. I happened to be selected as a valedictorian for the class. Remembered the advice my teacher gave me, because, you got people in the auditorium, was just to look at the back of the room at the clock. And that was decent advice for a 12-year-old, because looking at people make you nervous. But that's not good advice for you, because you connect with people when you look them in the face. You look away from people, you don't connect. And the reason we speak is to connect, is to communicate, is to inspire, is to motivate. So I find it fantastic. I've been a trial lawyer for 30 years. I've given more openings and closings and arguments in front of judges and jurors. I don't remember, I can't even count it at this point. So one of the tricks I just gave you was imagine if there was a jury, and each point you have in your closing argument, you move over to a certain part in the well and you look at certain jurors. Because probably you think that during that trial, you might have made a connection and you want to reconnect. And even though you're talking to everybody else, you're kind of looking at that juror. You don't stare, but you lock in and you say something in your argument, right? But you stay there, lock in, everybody's focused on you. Anybody ever heard of Tupac?
Yes.
One of his songs, right? All eyes on me, right? All eyes on me. That's powerful. You get in front of an audience, classroom, courtroom, conference, all eyes on you. It's powerful. You have a powerful responsibility and an opportunity that many people don't ever have, right? So you are doing Leadership Academy. That means you are leaders. So people now will be expecting you to be in front of rooms with your peers, to inspire, to motivate, to inform. It's important because we are trying to train you, prepare you for when you have to be in front of a room to speak. And the one thing that all 3 of you all did very well, right? And none of y'all looked down. Because let me tell you something about looking down. When you look down, you know what it portrays?
You're not confident. Timidness.
There you go. Lack of confidence doesn't work. Timidness doesn't work. Now, I don't want to go to the other extreme and yell and scream, because that also projects the same thing to me, right? That's kind of what you do to try to intimidate somebody or try to make a whole bunch of noise because your facts ain't in your favor. And I don't know about you, but, no one listens to people yelling. Yelling is about you. That's not about them. It's about you getting out your frustration. You're not trying to really persuade anybody, right? So why are we here? It's called branding you. How to find your why, right? That's the topic. Branding you. You're a brand. Every single one of you young men are a brand. And your brand is going to be determined by your why. For those of you who think a leader is born, raise your hand. Those of you who think leaders are made, raise your hand. Can I be real with y'all? Most leaders are in position of leadership not because they know how to lead. Most leaders are in position of leadership because they have the information, they have the knowledge, they have the experience. But experience alone does not make you a leader. Because you can all have all kinds of different experiences. Doesn't make you a leader. That's not the number one prerequisite for leadership. You know what the number one prerequisite for leadership is?
No.
If it ain't experience? Respect? Respect to who?
Respect to peers.
Respect.
The word trust.
Trust. Caring. It's caring. That's the number one thing a great leader has. Great leader cares. The number two thing a great leader has is humility. What I mean by humility is a line that I like to use. I don't have to be the one that's right. I just want to get it right. When you are leading a team, the idea does not have to come from you. It comes from your team. You're humble enough to say, I don't have to be the one that came up with the idea. I am not the one that has to be right. A leader recognizes that and recognize that when that's the right solution, that's where we go. Often people think that the leader is the smartest person and the person who knows everything. And we come into rooms and we talk down to people, not intentionally, but we act like we're teachers and we're educating them. And this is what I learned from when I did this, and da. And we don't listen. We're not open. So the second thing is humility. If you're going to be a leader, and I give you a real world example, you get into a room with your team. You can say, hey, we're trying to figure this problem out. Then you shut down and you let your team come up with possible solutions. You may have one in your head already because you've done, you looked at the problem, you've assessed it. You might have a sense of where you want to go, but you got to involve your team. And someone may come up with a better solution than you even thought of. You won't know that if you came into the room and said, this is what we're going to do. I lead my team. We're working on a case. I know most likely where I want to go. But I'm always open that someone is looking at it a little differently than me. And they may say something that we go, oh, let's try that. Let's do that. Or it may improve on what I actually thought where we want to go. But the most important thing it does, because what leaders do, leaders make people feel valuable. Third thing. Write it down. Third thing of leaders is they make people feel valued. You know what? I come up with this stuff. I can Google it, a chat, GPT, whatever. But you know why so many young men are not in a room like here today and out here doing completely opposite of what y'all are doing? And young people, period. And I'm just dealing with young people because it gets to adults too. You know why? Because they don't feel valued. It's a human condition. When you were born, if you were breastfed or not, somebody was holding you and cuddling you and feeding you. And when you shitting on yourself, someone cleaned you up, made you smell like good old baby powder. Right? Someone always took care of you. And what that meant was they made you feel valued. It did almost like a bird, a little baby bird, but the mama bird says, okay, it's time for you to fly now. It throw you out. And if you hit the ground, that's on you. And some people are treated like that. That's some people's world. And they don't feel valued and make all kind of destructive decisions because they don't feel valued. And sometimes those destructive decisions are not so obvious, right? It's not crime, right? It's not drugs. No, it's not. They go to college, they go into the workforce, they do all those things. But they come into your room where you're the leader with that issue. And if they don't feel valued by you, the leader, that triggers them. They don't want to work where you work. They don't want to work on a team with you. They never say you don't value them. They don't say that word, but that's what's happening. So in leadership, leaders understand that, right? Have Kevin Wyman spoken to y'all yet? He's not speaking to you this year? So you know Kevin from last year, right? So some of y'all, most of you probably know this, but I actually have a podcast, right? I have a podcast it's for business owners. And this month's guest was Kevin Wyman. He's also on the board of the 13th Man. Kevin is CEO of Cognac. Y'all probably see somebody probably worked there this summer. Kevin is the CEO of an $800+ million business. Y'all heard me? Y'all heard that? Right? So, talk about being representative. That's a black man, looks like me, looks like you, running an organization that last year had over $800 million in revenue. And when I interviewed Kevin, I said, my man, how you do that? I mean, I said a little bit differently, but you understand what I'm saying. How you do that? First thing he said to me is, we. Not I. We. The only I that he used was I hired the right leadership team, and then they brought people in. It's we. So what I'm saying to you about leadership, you have to prepare for this. If the company goes the other way, he gets blamed. But when the company goes this way, we did it. That's part of the responsibility of leadership. Right? There's reward and there's response. There's a lot of R's. It's this reward and there's responsibility. That's leadership. And I'm having this conversation with you all because no one talks about that part. So you know that the Ivy League schools, like Harvard, Yale, all of those schools, right? And that's like the top of the top, right? In academia are Ivy Leagues. Do you know that the majority of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies went to state colleges? You know that? Not Ivy League, state colleges. And you know who works for them?
Ivy League.
There you go. Because being smart does not mean you're a leader. Right? Because the leadership stuff has way more to do with other qualities and characteristics and not with intelligence. Right? When you're going through Leadership Academy and you're having people speak to you, you're doing all these different things, going out into the community, you're going to be working internships. Right? You are that experience. Let me tell you something. Somebody in this room is going to do a legal internship this summer, right?
That's what he said.
Is it you?
Yes.
Okay, you will be PDS. I don't know what PDS means yet. You will. But yeah, I don't know nothing. Nobody's bringing you on for internship for any of your knowledge. Right? It brings you on to internships to expose you to other people, to other experiences, so you can take in and see. And what you have to do this summer is be curious, George. Show up on time, ask a lot of questions. Not just to the CEO, but you learn leadership by speaking to leaders. Write that down. You learn leadership by speaking to leaders. Because I have to do my...
I think also they good audience too.
How many of y'all have a phone? How many of y'all have an iPhone? I know this might sound really strange to y'all, but when some of the adults in this room were your age, that didn't exist. All right. There's something called payphones. We had dimes and quarters. You know, I know y'all tripping on us, right? But I'm talking about leadership, because this is all about leadership. And I talked to you about a little bit about how you deal with your team. But leadership is also about imagination and creativity and going places others have not gone and being bold enough to do that, right? So y'all are exhibiting leadership right now, boldness by being here and doing this 10-month program. Because many of your peers are doing other things. So always recognize what you're doing, right? Always take time to pat yourself on the back. Just don't do that too long. Feel me? So I asked you about the iPhone, and y'all laughed at us. Let me show you how the iPhone was originated. I'm sure none of y'all have ever seen this video except Bryce.
The data separates the first glorious levels of the information for the nation's evidence. Created without us tiny oyster, a garden of pure ideology, where each word secure the pests of a mountain roots. The nation's force is more powerful weapon than it leads one on the other. We are one people. Our enemies shall toward themselves, but we
On January 24, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
So I'm not going to get into the 1984 book if you have never read the 1984 George Orwell book. But this actually was in 1984 when this commercial came out. You all wouldn't even thought of in 1984. The point was, this is the beginning of the personal computer. Back then, before 1984, the thought of a personal computer didn't really exist. Apple kind of basically, they weren't the first, but they were the leader in creating a personal computer, which ultimately led to your own personal computer on your hip, because that is a personal computer.
okay.
Right? Your iPhone is a personal computer. That's 30, 40 years ago now, I guess. Good Lord, it's been some time. But Steve Jobs and the people at Apple had the vision, they had to lead this and say, we want to create a personal computer for the common man. Not for companies, for you to have in your house. Right? For you to have in your house. And imagine now what's happened in the world, and now we deal with AI. AI is the next thing, right? That's the new place we're going. We're so much at the beginning of AI, so much at the beginning. But to lead is to be able to go someplace others have not gone and have the vision, because leaders have vision. When you talk about the CEO, the number one role of a CEO is vision. To see literally into the future. Where am I trying to take this company? Where am I trying to take this organization? And let's figure out how we can get there. But first, where am I trying to take the organization? That's leaders. They're not stuck in the day-to-day. They're not stuck in the day-to-day. They're not even really stuck. They're not stuck in making the day-to-day better. You bring in people for that. That's a COO, Chief Operating Officer. This is terminology. If you don't know, I'm giving it to you right now. Those people work on the day-to-day. You, the CEO, visionaries. But I'm going to take this back to you all, because this is about branding you. And what I mean by branding you is developing yourself into being a leader. And you cannot lead anyone until you're able to lead yourself. Y'all write that down. You cannot lead anyone until you're able to lead yourself. So how do we lead ourselves? Accountability. I love that word. So I might as well start with accountability. The first person you have to be accountable to is yourself. In order to lead yourself, you have to be accountable to yourself. Just like you agreed with yourself to do this program. I know maybe your mama encouraged you, maybe your daddy encouraged you, maybe a coach, maybe your uncle, whatever, right? Maybe they told you about it, but ultimately you decided to do it. You decided to do it. You decided to be accountable to yourself for doing it, right? Because now your mama, your daddy can get you into this room, but they can't get you to be actively participating in this room. We agree? They don't know what's happening up in there. We agree?
Yes, sir.
For you to get the most out of anything you do in life, you have to be engaged. You have to be actively engaged. to get the most out of anything you want to do in life, right? So we talk about leading yourself, understanding yourself. And when we talk about your why, another way we say that is your purpose. What is your purpose? What is your purpose? But let me tell you something about adults. I tell you about being valued. Adults lack being valued, and that kind of shapes a lot of their life. The other thing about adults is they lack self-awareness, right? People go through life and they look up. Trust me when I say this to you. You'll be 40 years old. You look up, you're 40, right? If you don't live life with purpose, you look up, you'll be 40. Most likely raising someone who looks like you, right? So people lack awareness and they lack purpose. And what I mean by that, money is not a purpose. Money is a tool to help you attain your purpose. You understand what I'm saying by that? So when I'm going to ask you a question. What is your why? What is your purpose? Don't tell me because I want to make a lot of money. That's not a purpose. What you want to do with that money could be a purpose. So I'll give you a perfect example, an immediate example here. Mr. Kelly, businessman, has a business, has nothing to do with kids. His business has nothing to do with young black men. The 13th man is his purpose. The money from his business has allowed him to have this organization for well over 10 years. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Because when you think of your purpose, gentlemen, you think of beyond yourself. It is what, Mark, you are trying to make in this world, in your world. Start with your immediate world, and then it gets a broader world. That's leadership. Leadership is not about me. It's about what I can give to you, to him. That's the responsibility of leaders. So when I ask you, we're going to do this right now, but we're going to do it as a team. Write out what your why is, and then we'll talk about it. Everyone understand? What are you trying to do in this world? What impact are you trying to make in this world? Who are you trying to help in this world?
What is your purpose?
That's what I mean when I ask you that. Trust me, I will show you my why before we end, so it's not just on you all. But your why, your purpose, is what we call your North Star, right? That sets where you're trying to get to. That is what helps keeps you focused, keep you on that road. You'd be surprised when you ask people twice your age, what's your purpose? Raise my kids. That's not a purpose. Respectfully, that's not a purpose. That's an obligation. That's a responsibility, right? That's what you signed up for. But that's not a purpose, right? For me, a purpose is about what you're going to do to affect a change in this world. That's leadership. That's living with purpose. That's a North Star. You assess your own talents. We all have different talents. We all not going to do the same thing. Whether it's a piano player, a psychologist, right? Mental health. We all have our own interests and our own talent. But every one of your interests and every one of your talent, you can affect other people's lives in a positive way. And that's what leadership is all about. Remember that. I'm older than you all, so I can take what Mateo says and I can take what you're saying from the Legos, my son used to play with all the time, and I can look at it and I say it this way for you. That people get joy out of playing with those Legos and creating things in their room. That joy that they bring, the creativity that they get to work on. That's what you're talking about. That's what you're trying to bring. You're talking about an accomplishment, a piano, the music, and how someone feels. And yes, one can get money from it. But you're trying to create that feeling, that environment, that condition for people. You're trying to help people who don't have enough food to eat. Because you can understand what it's like to have people that go to school hungry. You can't expect them to concentrate. You know, so that's your passion. That's your why. You lean into it. You understand mental health. You understand the impacts. You have a sensitivity for that anyway, right? That's your North Star. You're going to go get whatever you need to get from an educational perspective so you can affect change in your community, right? If it's just about money, and money becomes your North Star, you're going to do all kind of shit you shouldn't be doing in life just because it makes you money. Do you know how many millionaires there are in America? First of all, you know how to define what a millionaire is? That's your net worth. Your net worth is $1 million. You know how many millionaires there are in America? Do this every year. First of all, there's 330 million recognized people in America. 330 million recognized people in America. You know how many of those are millionaires? 24 million. 24 million people have a household income of net worth of $1 million or more. Do you know how many of those people are black? There's 1.7 black households with a net worth of $1 million or more, so technically millionaires. 1.7 million out of 24 million, right? Total. And then when you use the 10 million net worth number, right? There are 6 million folks with a net worth of $10 million or more. Out of that, 16,000 are black. 16,000. What I want to stress for you all, because it's a balance. I know you had some folks coming to speak to you about investing and stuff like that. There's a balance. It's a false choice that they try to make us make, of that we either have to choose money or choose our community, that we have to choose money or choose service. That's bullshit. That's a false choice. All I'm saying to you, go get your money. Go get your money, right? You gotta support what you gotta support, right? But you do it understanding of your purpose, right? Some of us can make a living through our purpose, which to me is ideal. And some of us have to make a living to be able to do our purpose. You understand what I'm saying by that? Either way is fine. The point I'm trying to make to you is your responsibility to your community as leaders is to make your community better. And your community is beyond who's in your house. And your community goes with you wherever you go. Oh, y'all not going to stay in D.C., Maryland. But it's your responsibility as leaders. Leadership does not have geographical restrictions. Where you go, leaders go. Feel me? Understand that. So we're at that point, because I don't want to go overboard. So I think we're kind of in the Q&A. I want the Q&A portion of it. You asked me, where did I get this mindset from, right?
Like, did you develop it at our age or?
Yeah, I think that our environment impacts us, right? I think last year I talked to you all about the 5 fingers. Bryce, remember the 5 fingers? What I mean by the 5 fingers, right? The 5 closest people to you is representative of who you are. And you get fuckheads in your 5 fingers, you're going to end up being a fuckhead too. That's just real. You get people who are trying to achieve, like you got 5 fingers in this room now. You get people who are trying to achieve, you're going to be achieving. Right? It's just, you are just impacted by your environment. You're a human being. We're not meant to be alone. So to answer your question, I was just my environment with people from teachers to some of the internships. I mean, the internship had the greatest influence on my life when I was in 11th grade. An internship in 11th grade, I went and worked at the local community college at the time, but they had a law for social justice center, and I worked on police brutality. And my job was just to read the paper every day and basically get out all of the, because back then this is the 80s, and get out all the stuff to share with the lawyers. I met my first lawyer. Like, I met my first lawyer when I was your age. We are still friends today. Roger Reham, right? And the woman who ran the center. There was a black, they were black, right? They were the first lawyer I ever met in my life. So did that impact me? Obviously, I wanted to be a lawyer before that, but that kind of made it real. And I just peppered Roger with questions. I showed up for my internship. I asked questions, and stuff like that. But it made it real for me. So when I wrote my essay for college, I'm a black boy out of Bed-Stuy, and I'm talking about the damn Scopes trial. I know they were tripping. I don't know, y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. But that's Darwinism. They were teaching Darwinism in school, and the teacher got charged. Was it Tennessee? That's called the Scopes trial, and the guy representing him. I always want to represent the underdog. That's what I wanted to do. Maybe because I was from that area. Maybe that's what I saw. Maybe I had friends or associates or neighbors who fell into being that. Sometimes by their own choice, but they still did. Maybe I wanted to be a hero. I don't know. Right? But I hope I'm answering your question. So that's but you lose your way. That's why I'm talking to you now. I wish someone had talked to me when I was 18 about my North Star. Because you will have challenges. You will have challenges in your life. And that's okay, because growth comes from challenges. If you want to be safe, stay at home and play your computer games. Right? But your North Star is because someone's going to tell you, okay, all right, man, take my ass home. All right, man, let me open up this book. All right, man, let me send this text to this man I met who has this company that I'm interested in. All right, man, let me get up on this Saturday and wake up before my parents have to wake me up. It's your North Star. It's your why. Right? And your why will develop as you get older. I didn't expect to hear a why from you that I would say that I'm going to say, because my why's come over years. Right? It's getting refined. But it's always been the same. How I do it is a little different, but it's always been the same. It's always to help people. It was always to help people. Right? What was your second question?
The second question is, what led you to be what you are today?
What led me to?
Be a public defender or a lawyer. What made you want to do that?
Well, I always joke that the reason I became a lawyer is because I didn't like blood. So I ain't doing a doctor thing. And I happened to be fortunate enough, I guess, to be kind of good in school. So you know what teachers do when you're good in school? Thinking when you're a black kid, going in Bed-Stuy, you're good in school, they go, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer. Now, again, I'm 10, 12, 11 years old. I don't know what the hell a lawyer does. But when you say to somebody, people are, oh, that's great. Young Puff, that's great. But I had no idea what lawyers did. And I didn't know what was required to be a lawyer. But once I worked at the Center for Law and Social Justice, and I saw the positive that you can do, right? I said, oh, okay. It ain't just, briefcase and a suit, going to, downtown Manhattan. You can do some things with this. You can make some change with this. It might be incremental, but you can do it. So, again, sometimes your why, you're not really, you don't know it. Right? You're not fully aware of it. Let's put it that way. But you got to pay attention to what moves you. You have to pay attention to what really motivates you. And if something motivates you, then you go with it. Don't let anybody else tell you, why you want to do that. You don't make no money doing that, or you got to do this, or why you want to. right? If that's what motivates you, right? If that's what makes you get up, then go with it, right? Too many times we try to live a life somebody else wants us to live. You know what I'm saying? We create you, we raise you for you to have choice, for you to choose what motivates you. Simone has been doing photography for years. I ain't gonna tell you how long, right? And I actually engaged her services. What was that? December. Take some shots of me for my new website, which is not up yet. She creates experiences. That's what she does. She has a gift to see through the camera. Sometimes what the subject doesn't see, she has a gift to capture that. Right? That's her why. That's her passion. So the key is it don't feel like work. I've told people I haven't worked a day in my professional life. They look at me like, what? I haven't worked a day in my professional life. The business part is work, but the actual delivery of services to my clients is not work. Because I love what I do. It's my purpose. Right? Even when it doesn't work out, I love what I do. It makes me feel alive. So I want y'all to search for that. Have a continuous search for that, for your purpose. And when you figure that out, lock in on it. Because none of y'all have really stated y'all purpose. I expect y'all to. Y'all stated y'all effect a little bit, but not really. But what are you, 16, 17, 18? That's okay. The key for now is to actually be in the search of. Be aware, be alert to it. Because once you lock in on your purpose, distractions, and things change, right? My purpose was to go to law school. Well, I'm in college. I'm like, I'm going to law school. I'm going to be a lawyer. But certain shit I wasn't going to do no more. On certain parties, I left early. Hey, man, I got to get up. Right? You just lock in. You just lock in. That's really what it is. And you don't get distracted. And you don't get detoured. Right?
So I know you talk about your 5 fingers, and then Mr. Kelly, he also talks about, well, he relates it to basketball.
Mm-hmm. He relates everything to basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
And he talks about his starting 5.
Yes.
Throughout high school, I've kind of been figuring out my starting 5. And
Sure.
who I want to keep in my circle and who I don't think should be in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to figure out your 5 fingers?
First of all, the 5 fingers will change as you go through different things. That's one thing you have to understand, that the guys I was closest to 20 years ago are not necessarily the guys I'm closest to now. The guys I grew up with are not the guys I'm closest to now. Some people are, right? Sometimes because geographically you move away. Sometimes you people go through different things in life. So got to prepare yourself that 5 fingers we're talking about will change, because they may change for you. You may not be in life because of their decision. It just happens, right? The key about it is, if you are trying to be, we talk about mindset, and I have a very positive mindset. I have what I call a growth mindset. When you got to have people in your world who have that same type of mindset. And you have to be able to identify when someone doesn't. And I'm not saying in that, because sometimes it's the reality. Sometimes the person could be your sibling, your cousin, right? And their family. So you don't get rid of family, but you understand what you talk about and what you don't talk about. Because you got a great idea, right? You want to go to somebody who, yeah, I can help. Like, yeah, well, let's talk about that. What about this? What about that? You don't want to go to somebody and go, what do you want to do that for? Right? And that's like a kick in the belly. What do you want to do that for? Right? So that's what I'm saying. So that's going to change. Right? But just be aware and when people are being positive and you got to be positive with them, that's people you want in your life. If they're not, that's not people you want in your inner circle. Follow me?
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay. So.
I had a question.
Uh-huh.
I was just sound like a dumb question, but
No dumb question.
how hard was it for you to become a lawyer to like get into the business?
How hard was it to me to become a lawyer? I don't know how to explain it. If I have to sit in right now and tell you to become a lawyer, I got to go to 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, take a bar exam, pass a bar exam, get a job, do this, do that, get a license, pay for my license. That seems like a lot. Right?
Really?
But I'll leave you with this. How do you eat an elephant? There you go. One bite at a time. You know where you're trying to get to? You said kill it. No. It's one bite at a time. But the point is, one bite at a time. Right? You know, this is where I want to get to. But this is where I got to start. And this is my next step. You take the next step. You take the next step. You take the next step. Right? And when you're focused, it doesn't seem as hard. If you're distracted and you want to do other things, the hell yeah, it's hard. Right? But I didn't want to become a lawyer to become a lawyer. I wanted to become a lawyer because what I can do with being a lawyer. Right? It's what I can do. That's what I like. Any other questions?
It's quick. I just saw the name of your podcast. How'd you come up with that?
I'm going to show you in a minute. It's all consistent. So anyway, this is my current website that won't be up. I hope we're changing this. I don't know how to make the pages go. But I just want you to understand, and everything is intentional. My why is right here.
Protecting David from Goliath.
Hold on. Like,
That's my why. It's pretty, but you know what I stand for. You know what I'm trying to do. Right? I moved from the criminal defense world to the business world, but it's the same thing. In the sense that the underdog, the Davids. And if you're going to be a business owner, if you dare to be a black business owner, we just told you how many millionaires are black. What I just told you. You know what I mean? What I just told you. And that's not all business owners. Some people you just have a house and all that, because that's all part of your net worth. You got to be bold to be a business owner. You got to even be bolder to be a successful business owner. And the more successful you get, the more they come at you. Right? Which comes to your answer about the podcast. It's only on the top, right? Is that where it's at? But anyway, so that's the whole biblical thing, and David, and you can take down the giant. The giant is the world. And y'all gotta feel that. Y'all can take down the giant. Whatever y'all think, these big obstacles that y'all think in front of y'all that prevent you from accomplishing whatever you want is all bullshit. The only limitation is what's in your head. The only limitation you have is what's in your head. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but that's the only limitation. Right? So we dare to be kick ass and take names, because that's the attitude you have to have. You don't have to exhibit it that way. You're not like, but ultimately that's the attitude you have to have. I'm kicking ass and taking names. Because I'm bold, I'm doing this. Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicking Ass and Taking Names, a business owner empowerment podcast. Remember, information is only as good as its application. So start making transformational changes to your business and life today. If you like the show, follow wherever you get your podcast. And if you are enjoying this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment letting us know what you think and what you want me to talk about in a future episode. If your business needs a legal partner, contact us at www.glgdc.com. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.